Hello everyone. For this session, I'll be providing details of the projects and the assignments that a person, the cloud engineer will perform at the organizations. What, like, for to be simple, what to be expected, what the skills that you have gained, all the different areas from AWS and other technologies. So where are you implementing that? Take an example of a web application. If it is using an EC2 service and deployed on the virtual machine, Windows or Linux server, so you might get assigned to that project and may be responsible for provisioning. It has management, working with the different teams, development of the application. There are like different aspects of it, developing the application itself. A solution architect can be assigned to design the whole of the complete infrastructure. A typical infrastructure that might have is usually organizations looking at when the application is for the production level, production grade applications, it requires some sort of reliability, high availability, durability. In that case, the EC2 instances will be using, for the AWS perspective, highly available in multiple availability zones. So I won't be going too much deep into it, but because I have other projects to discuss, this video will be more specific to the high level of the projects. Later I will come into more and more details. So you might get assigned to such project of the web application. So when you're using high availability and all, multiple different multiple EC2 instances that you'll be having, so it requires a load balancer. You may use an application load balancer for load balancing those web servers, and web servers for routing the request, taking the request and routing. So typically a load balancer receives the request, send it to the multiple EC2 instances. In load balancing, like load balancer send it to route the request to the web servers, and then web servers receives the request, and for processing it will send to the application servers. So typically a load balancer is there, web server is receiving the request, and then the web server might send to another load balancer that in turn will be load balancing two different other application server. Those are the EC2 instances, and the application server like process the request, it connects to the database, and then when you're using the database from the AWS choice, you might be using the RDS, relational database service, one of the database within the RDS service. This is one of the kind of the project that you can expect to be working. And then in terms of the EC2 instances, there are other work related to patching. It has some the vulnerabilities and also there are a bunch of things that has been involved with the EC2 instances as well. So that kind of work yeah, the images, maybe the AMIs, the what kind of AMI will be used. So there could be one another team working on specifically developing the customized AMI that is needed for and that is has been like created as per the organizational needs, keeping in mind all the security and what all other tools that can be there. So kind of things like that. So one aspect is the web application. There is all of the infrastructure is there. The another aspect is the how what kind of the images are there, what images can be used, and hardened images you might have heard about. So golden images you might have heard about. So something those developing, not developing, I wouldn't say, but like building images as per the organizational needs. That is one. So I would like to move forward from the EC2 instances. That might I'll be taking too much time on that. So just a very like a few short discussion on the projects. So that is there one. Now moving on to some serverless projects. It is very important that you have pretty much, it's like all these what I'm discussing you should have be aware of, because this is all the cloud things. These are all interrelated things. And if somebody expect when you are at the position to know all of these services and the understanding and the underlying things, the infrastructure, how it is, pretty much everything it is, because when you're working on application, that is something a big responsibility. And coming to the serverless side, a simple serverless using the Lambda. AWS Lambda services this is really like used to so much in multiple things. And if we say about the project, a serverless project, typically maybe using if the Lambda as a proxy, if you're using as a backend for an API, and a programming interface is being made using the API gateway. So you can have one API gateway, and then other resources, the methods that it is being at the backend will have a setup as Lambda as a proxy. So at the Lambda side, it processes the code. Sorry. So it processes, that will be typical. It's a very basic application. And then in turns, Lambda connect with other services. Maybe the DynamoDB for having like complete serverless application. And then it might need some of the connectivity to the secrets manager, some connectivity to the what is that systems manager, like a parameter store for fetching some details. So I'll discuss more about every service and everything later, like in my videos for sure. But this is really very like a typical serverless applications or a basic API development. Now, the migration projects are there. The projects are the cloud native projects will be there, just solely developed using the cloud and on the cloud. The migrations on the data center, on premises, the application that are existing to the organizations are looking to migrate those to cloud. And what are the needs and everything I have earlier like mentioned in my other videos as well. So the organization is looking to migrate their workloads to cloud. So there will be some migration applications will be there, and cloud native applications are there, and then modernization of the applications that is taking place all, and mostly everything now is going on to cloud, except some of the services that the organization feels that it has to be within their control solely. Although infrastructure what in AWS is also has the manage and its authentication and authorization that is dedicated to the authorized user and to the organizations. But this is some of mostly the organizations looking to migrate their workload to cloud. That is, then I mentioned about modernizations, modern design of the applications, and the application using the microservices architecture, and so the using of the AWS ECS, Elastic Container Services. So using the containers, Docker containers, you can use that, and then the image can be created, the ECR within the repository, and those images can be used to make a serverless application in ECS by creating the ECS task. We'll come to that also later in our discussions, but something you can expect the kind of projects what I am discussing is. So the EC2 projects, images, AMIs, the building of, and then some serverless projects using Lambda, API Gateway Lambda, some DynamoDB on, then the microservices application using ECS. This is something, some of the applications here, and in the serverless. Now, infrastructure as code. This is something you can expect. So the resource working on the projects is not that when you work at any organization, infrastructure is just created on the what do you mean, through the console like that? It doesn't happen that way. When you work at organizations, there is a process to be followed, and infrastructure as code is something you're writing a code for provisioning the infrastructure. What infrastructure is? What is infrastructure? Infrastructure is all the Lambda, ECS, all the secrets, what all I'll discuss, the DynamoDB or any database, anything on that is going, that is the resources, those are all the infrastructure. And infrastructure as code, it means either using AWS CDK, or you can directly use the CloudFormation, or Terraform can be used for deploying the infrastructure. That is one other aspect of what to be expected at work, and what AWS CDK is, what CloudFormation is, what Terraform is. We will discuss that later. For with more details. That is something is this is the infrastructure as code. And a typical application that you can expect is maybe take an example of some ETL work and the transformation, data transformation, and Glue is something very popular as a service for performing the ETL jobs. AWS Glue. It's it's a great ETL tool, and something, and the project that can be used, and data analytics, okay, for data analytics as well. And you can expect to use Redshift as a data warehouse, AWS Redshift as a data warehouse, and they at the data side when you're working. So you may expect to see some the warehouse created on the AWS Redshift. That is something more about the analytics side, and then the related technologies you might the performance of the Redshift, and know a lot of things. And so you might have to know, you might, if you're working on the data side, technically you might have to choose which area that you'll be working. You'll like to be more on the serverless side, you like to more on the database side, and just a knowledge of the other services, and you want to work on the analytics side, and for analytical applications, that and then more deeper into analytical applications, and then some work with the other other like areas as well. So that is something about the data analytics, and I also discuss the infrastructure as code as well. And now coming to the pipeline. So as I mentioned, all the organizations, it works on a procedural basis, and pipelines that has created for deploying the application. So you should be aware of how the pipelines are set up, what are the purpose, from creation, for design of the application, design of the templates, as and then the repositories can be used as the GitHub as the most popular, and Bitbucket will be used, and AWS code commit is there from the AWS side. So a complete pipeline from development and of the templates, and then some, like before that, some of the tools that can be used is for the design, Visual Studio Code or something you might say. So from there you can design and then push it over to the Cloud9, that is from the AWS offering as IDE. And then using that, then it goes to the GitHub repo or one another repo, and some of the tools to build the applications. You could use the code build for the building of the build tool, and then there are some other processes of like the scanning of the code, like there are all the authentications and everything that will happen. It is this procedure, all the things that are there, the whole pipeline that it will be deployed into the AWS account, the infrastructure and the projects. This is a very high level of like a DevOps pipeline and the deployment. So this is something you can expect as well. Other than that, if you're working as a security engineer, great knowledge of, you must need all the knowledge of all the the vulnerabilities, and then all the scannings, the patching, approvals. Mostly a security engineer makes sure it is the deployment is as per the organizational standards, and assesses if it is breaching any of the security set protocols. And so knowledge of all the related things, the tools, services, and technologies for working as a security engineer. I'll for sure, like any other thing that I mentioned, I will for sure provide details for the say as what all are is needed in the security side as well. Similarly, networking, a network setup. There can be a dedicated team working on the networking as the network engineers, and a setup of the VPC design and hybrid connectivity, connective data center to the cloud connectivity, and all of this design of the subnets and the cider ranges, and this is pretty much all that area that can be expected as a network engineer. Although you need, when you're working in a specific area, you need to know other things as well for sure. Here and there it will be that it's needed to for you. It is almost interrelated. Things are interrelated. So that is some from the networking side. I'll yeah be providing. I have in mind more details about all the cider ranges, the VPC, the subnet, the what the knuckles, security groups, and the other endpoints, and it's VP, like so much about and the shared VPCs, the connectivity, the private subnet, and the private deployment, the public deployments, and everything. So I'll discuss more on that in a dedicated videos. And that is something on the network engineer side. And then monitoring and logging solutions are there. Pretty much monitoring is there for the application level monitoring, the infrastructure level monitoring, and the application that is being deployed. And it's pretty much as a monitoring is very monitoring, and then I would also say the logging. So logging solutions, creating like so monitoring and logging. So it's mostly um, the CloudWatch from AWS as a monitoring tool is used, and CloudTrail logs are like there. So that is something also for the logging solution. So there are two different things: monitoring and logging. And for application monitoring, then there's other tools can be used. Dynatrace is their thing, the Datadog. That is something. But yeah, so there are the monitoring tools and the logging solutions. There, I will for sure have a dedicated video in that all different set of logs, VPC logs, and then access logs, and the infrastructure, the other infrastructure log, like everything. I'll discuss more all about that. That is something monitoring and logging solutions. So this is pretty much in a very very high level, and I have discussed about the EC2, Lambda, the serverless, the ECS, the serverless applications, and some databases. Coming more to yeah the databases, the NoSQL database I have discussed, DynamoDB in one of the serverless application, or relational databases, that is RDS, that can is more popular to be using in the application though. So that is something is there, and the data warehouse analytical applications and ETL tools, that it is extract, transform, and load, and then transformation, data transformation, These are the applications that I've discussed. Yeah, like one another thing coming to my mind is the latest is the machine learning. I think that is worth discussing here as well. So if you are assigned as a AI engineer, expert in machine learning, so AWS offering their SageMaker is there, and Bedrock. These services provide access to many models, large language models. That is something you should be aware of if in details depth. And the kind of applications being developed is the chatbots and the text summarization applications, uh, something like that. And how it is built is on top of these machine learning services. And the kind of applications maybe the RAG. It is graph RAG is there. I don't think that is really that much popular, but it is really very interesting. And fine tuning the LLM, that is something there as well. So these are something machine learning things. And then agentic applications, and within agentic RAG kind of agentic applications can be built up. That is one other thing. And the frameworks that you have to know is about the llama index, that is the based on the Python framework for working on the machine learning projects. LangChain is there, and LangGraph is there, and for productionizing and thing, the Langsmith is there as well. So these are some of the tools. Maybe you can get more details of the other tools. So this is kind of the projects you can expect. And then in a deep understanding of the Python, Bash scripting, it is done for the like where like that's a lot of scenarios. So you might be working on that as well. Python scripting, Bash scripting. And I would like to also discuss some of the work within the cloud for managing the resources. So the event-based resources and the event-based management. And so event bridge can be used for any event to how to process, send notifications or do whatsoever, process some code. One another side of the event-based mapping is event basis is something on that from directly from the S3. The S3 has the event sources that it triggers. It can trigger, like if you configure that, can trigger a Lambda function. So any uploads to S3 and any object, you can process that and the Lambda. So that is something can be expected to be one of the other side. So these are the things. For sure there are like CDKs, like SDKs, or SDKs are there for application developments. And then whatever the languages that is there on the development, you have to know that language. And AWS offering for that SDK. And for example, Python, that is the Boto 3, that it is the framework from AWS for to be used for any of the Python applications. So that is one another aspect of the work that can be expected. It is I might be missing here there, like there for sure there will be a lot of things that will be missing, and there will be a lot of things, but on a high level basis you'll be either working on these applications, serverless analytics, or the data side, or some machine learning, or maybe some of the security or the networking side, and maybe some of the support projects, or maybe you will be just assigned to one just dedicated project for the life of the project, for like a maintenance. That will be a very good thing. It's just because you don't have much work. It's just maintaining, managing one application. So there are like a whole lot of things, and it's this is something really very high level, and there will be dedicated videos for every single thing that I have discussed, and more about I haven't discuss more about given the overview, and I have not like so far created an overview of the AWS services. So I might create a video based on the AWS services, in a way what all services for each of the area can be used, and in dedicating a video to that, and the tools that will be used for all working with the applications and the services. That is something, the tools also I'll discuss. There are like so many things for sure to discuss. It will be things will be coming up, the videos will be keep coming up, and I really hope that everybody gets an overview. And this is something, this my videos expect that it is kind of when on top of your learnings, this is view like this is something like a molding of that your to your skills, what and the position that you're looking. So you're molding yourself into that area. So my videos will be mostly based on the a little bit learning and molding yourself into and placing yourself into the position. That is my goal. And so you will follow up all the videos. You follow up all the videos. It will be bunch of things discussing in one video, a lot of different things. But what I my goal, vision, and then my like where I'm like how what I thought is about somebody like it follows through, they get molded into that and feel that into the area, that the organization that you're working. It's not just maybe one service is there I discuss and everything about that service is done. And but this is something as a very much interrelated things that I'll keep discussing all the interrelated things, and then how as a project at the very beginning, as I have mentioned my goal. So that will be something will be like kind of sometimes it will be really so much for someone, but if you're really looking for some of the like expert level, or some sort of the what is expected, and to like the things, and then the path that you should take, and then I'm like I'll be discussing more about in that area. So but anyway, I think that is something it took so long. This video is really very so long, but for sure, yeah, thanks.